My name is Marc Hebert. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Estuate. We are a Silicon Valley-based services company. We are come out of the Oracle world, so we've come over from the red side over to the blue side in the last few years. We've been working with IBM for 3 years, and we specialize in a space between IBM and Oracle for mutual customers in the space that's called enterprise data management around a product set for IBM called Optum, and we are specialists in Optum for the Oracle platform. Companies 10 years later are awash in data. We sort of think of it as data cholesterol. Data that was easy to get into databases like Oracle and DB2 is not so easy to get out. And so companies like Oracle and SAP never really thought all that much about what it would take to pull the data out, and as a result, companies over the years, over this decade, have just let it all accumulate to the point where it's now become very expensive to manage. Throwing hardware at the problem is no longer as easy an option because of the tightening of IT budgets. And so enter the picture of enterprise data management, and it's all about managing all of that accumulated, very valuable data much more efficiently than ever before. This is a phenomenon that almost all companies have begun to encounter of any size. So I think my general observation in the market is companies of 200 million and above who have been implementing these kinds of modern systems to run their businesses, and it's almost everybody, have now reached this point of, whether they realize it or not, of data cholesterol. And so the need to understand what value your data has along a time dimension and figuring out what data you need to keep in production and what data no longer needs to be there is the key to being much more proactive in managing yourself using enterprise data management. So there are some business drivers and real key benefits from paying close attention to this whole area. The first and most tangible business driver is the more efficient use of storage and CPU. So instead of traditionally throwing more storage, more hardware at this problem, now companies who are increasingly dealing with tight budgets are finding ways to do a lot more with less. A very good example is one of our clients is T-Mobile, who came to this realization about 1.5 years ago. They're approaching a couple of petabytes of data in their data centers. It's not atypical for them to take a 1 terabyte application and multiply it 100 times by the way they manage it for various purposes. And so 100 terabytes of data, even though the cost of storage is getting cheaper and cheaper, pretty soon it adds up to real money. And so what they figured out is by having a program of archiving and application retirement, they can maintain a more constant size of their data in production and offload less important data to lower storage and manage more efficiently overall. So number one is the cost of hardware. Number two is the cost of the labor associated with managing all of this data. Unfortunately, labor cost isn't getting cheaper according to Moore's law like storage is, and so sooner or later the IT budgets around labor start to get impacted, and you can free up people's valuable resources to focus on more important things as well. So that's the second big benefit. The third big benefit has to do with governance and the need to comply with regulations in various industries around the privacy of information. So increasingly, companies have a lot of customer information, employee information, and supplier information that is confidential. And the fact that that data gets proliferated so much by copying it for all kinds of different production and non-production purposes creates more exposure for companies. In the old days, when you retired an application, you would typically write it off to tape. The tape would go into a storage vault and largely be forgotten. The half-life of corporate information is actually quite short. So the institutional memory of those applications sitting in the tape vault tends to deteriorate very quickly. But it's also true that in today's day and age of litigation and compliance, that data sometimes needs to be accessed unexpectedly. And there's the rub. Going to find that information is really like finding a needle in a haystack in the traditional tape vault approach. So having a corporate data repository where you put all of this data and manage it proactively, you might still use tape for parts of it, but you'll still keep some of it in secondary storage or ways in which it's more easily accessible and indexed and tracked, makes it tremendously easier and lower risk to keep track of all of that data and use it as you need it. I'm Marc Hebert. I'm the COO of Estuate. We're a Silicon Valley-based company. We specialize in enterprise data management with IBM Optum. You can find us at estuate.com, and please visit our blog on EDM.